What is up, YouTube? My name is Trinity, and welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you've been here before. I know it's been a second since I uploaded. That was not my intention. A lot just happened. I got sick, which you could probably still hear a little bit in my voice, so sorry about that. Work has been kicking my ass, and also I have been preparing for my Nana's benefit this weekend. So my family is holding a basket raffle benefit for her this weekend, and it has been taking up a lot of my time, and it's been taking a lot out of me emotionally, so I don't want to talk about it too much because this is supposed to be my little escape from real life, but just wanted to keep you guys updated. So today we are going to be talking about the disappearance of Tom Messik, the man who went on a hunting trip with friends and family 10 years ago and never returned. Tom lived in Troy, New York with his wife Beverly. The 82-year-old was a former paratrooper of the U.S. Army's 82nd Airborne Division. And everything that I read about him during my research indicated that he was tough and he was very capable, especially in the outdoors. He was a lifelong hunter and taught survival training despite losing an eye in his early 20s due to an explosion. This, his limited hearing, and history of heart problems may have slowed him down, but it didn't hold him back from going on his annual hunting trips with 5 of his friends. I will note that some sources said there were 7 people in this hunting party. I couldn't find a list of names or how they were related to him or anything, though I'm pretty sure one of his sons was on this camping trip. Normally, this hunting party went to Tom's hunting camp in Hague, but this year they decided to switch it up a little and go to a different location. They went hunting south of Brant Lake near Lily Pond, which was in the Lake George Wild Forest State Park. Now, don't quote me because, again, finding exact information and details for this case was a little bit hard, but looking on Google Maps at least, where Lily Pond is only about 10 minutes away from like a lodge and a campground, so it wasn't like middle of nowhere, would take days to get to or anything. On this fateful Sunday, they decided to do a deer drive, so 2 younger members of the group were going to go out and flush deer towards 4 stationary members. These were older members of the hunting party, including Tom. These watchers sat in a horizontal line about 100 yards away from each other, so not very far away from each other at all, and they would watch, and if they had a clear shot on a deer, they would take it. Also, Tom was placed at the end of this line. The hunters didn't have any luck on this hunt. In fact, not only did they have no sign of deer, the woods were apparently silent, which is not normal for anyone that is often out in the woods. You know, even if there isn't a lot of noise, you'll hear like the scuttling of like squirrels in the underbrush, or you'll hear bird song, like just little sounds like that. There was apparently nothing. When the group wrapped up around 2 o'clock and met at their designated meeting place, Tom wasn't there. So they went to the little area where he was supposed to be sitting, and he wasn't there. And there was no sign of him. The walkie-talkie he was holding was not there, and neither was his rifle. So that means the last time that anyone had seen Tom was 10 a.m., so 4 hours ago. Being hunters, they should be able to see footprints or, try to indicate where he went. Maybe he got a little disoriented or something distracted him, and he didn't think to, let them know on his walkie-talkie. That's a little weird, but, they couldn't find anything. So they shot 3 rounds into the air with one of their rifles, which is a distress signal among hunters, hoping like if he's lost, that'll draw him into where they are, or maybe he'd respond, but nothing. Around 4:30, they called in the forest rangers for help, and these rangers, they searched until about 7 p.m., which sounds kind of early, but remember it was November, so it was getting dark pretty early, and there was no sense stumbling around in the dark. Half of the hunting group left to make an official missing persons report and to notify his family and his wife that he was missing, though at this point they were pretty sure they would find him, so they weren't like raising too many alarms. They just said, oh, he's lost, but don't worry, we'll find him. Well, the other half of the group apparently stayed in the area all night, honking their horns and shooting rifles into the air, just in case Tom was still in the area and needed something to lead him back. The official search began the next day, starting with 13 members of the search and rescue team of the Park Service. But over the weeks of searching, it totaled about 300 people, consisting of volunteers and professionals from the DEC, State Police, the Warren County Sheriff's Department, volunteer firefighters, and volunteers from the New York State Federation of Search and Rescue Teams. Heavy rain rolled in early into the search, though I read that the sniffer dogs were deployed before the rain, so if there was a scent to catch, they would have been able to, but nothing was picked up on. Divers also searched local bodies of water just in case there was anything to be found. There were a lot of swampy areas, and the National Guard searched by helicopter with infrared cameras, but nothing was found. 3 days into the search, the FBI showed up, which maybe they were asked to be there by one of these other departments, but their presence was very strange because their job is to investigate crime. At this point, this guy was just an old man in the woods. There was no indication of foul play, no suspicion, no evidence because nothing had been found. And, you know, an older man may have just gotten lost in the woods. Why was the FBI there? They might get involved if stuff like this happened on federal lands or there was suspicion of some sort of kidnapping or a serial killer, something like that. But again, there was no indication of that. By Saturday of that week, so 7 days had passed since he was last seen, 4 square miles had been searched. They were using a grid method, using string to make sure that every section of the forest that they were searching for him was very thorough. And by the following Monday, that number increased to over 7 square miles. By this time, there was definitely concern if Tom was even still alive because on the day that he went missing, he had his rifle, a knife, his walkie talkie, and a Snickers bar. He had no water on him. So if he was still somewhere in the woods, unless he had found a source of clean drinking water, it wasn't looking too good. As the end of November approached, the search dwindled down dramatically. And the wide scale search concluded in January of 2026, but this is still an open case because there's no conclusion to this. And rangers still continue to investigate the area on a limited, continuous basis, meaning that every once in a while someone will go out to this area, search around, look for any new developments, maybe take a cadaver dog to see if they can sniff out any remains. And because of the weirdness of how this all went down, there's not really a lot of theories as to what happened. Beverly, Tom's wife, said, quote, "The FBI told me something isn't right with his case, but they don't know what. They won't share any theories if they have them. The FBI said until they make a discovery, they're never going to know." And the only thing that she personally can come up with is that somebody came in, maybe on a quad or something, and they either hurt him very badly or killed him and then took him out of the woods. And of course, being his wife, she just wants closure. She wants to know what happened to her husband. I don't think they have any hope that he's still alive after this near decade, but I can't imagine just every day wondering what happened. And she said the thing that worries her the most is that the last day that she talked to him, she's scared she didn't say that she loved him, which hits very close to home because since I can remember, my family, no matter what, we always say I love you if you're leaving the house. It doesn't matter if you're going grocery shopping. It doesn't matter if you're just going to school or something. The last thing we say to each other is I love you. If we forget to say it on the way out, we text it or we call each other. Just because, like, God forbid something happens, that's the last thing I want them to hear from me. As far as what I think, I really have no idea. With Dennis Martin, the weirdest thing that happened with the case is the circumstances surrounding the moment he disappeared. Like, how he was taken or got far enough that nobody could find him. From there, after a 6-year-old gets lost in the woods, he could have fallen victim to a predator, he could have been kidnapped, he could have succumbed to the elements, he could have drowned. There's a million ways he could have gone, unfortunately. With Kenny Veach, we're pretty sure we know what happened to him, according to his girlfriend. With this, it's so different because this is a grown man. Like, yes, he had his medical issues and limitations, but you'd think if he had some sort of medical episode, even if it disoriented him and he got really confused and lost, how would he have gotten so far away that they couldn't find him? Or in all these years, find his remains if it was something extremely serious? If he were attacked, why wouldn't he shoot his gun or yell or radio someone? I know that Aiden Mattis from the Lore Lodge, he actually went to the location of the disappearance and he said that sound travels really well there. So him yelling, it should have been able to alert at least the next nearest watcher, at least. I've heard theories that he fell into a sudden sinkhole, but if that's the case, wouldn't that sinkhole or some indication of disturbance be found when they were searching? If it was a member of the group that wanted him dead, that person would have to sneak off from their position, take him out without causing a disturbance or leaving any evidence of a struggle or blood or whatever else, take him out of the forest, come back by 2 o'clock, and then hope that he didn't sustain any injuries from the struggle or whatever else. If it was all of them, they'd have to coordinate their lies, and it's just a lot. And I don't see why anyone would benefit from his death. I haven't heard anything about like life insurance policies. Like I said, I think his son was there. All of these people were friends for like decades and decades from what I hear. It's really strange. Two odd details related to this case that I didn't really know where to fit in my retelling of what happened are one of the other watchers heard a noise that he said he couldn't describe, though he said it was kind of like a snapping or a cracking sound before Tom went missing, but it wasn't in the direction that Tom was sitting. So some people said, well, maybe it was a widowmaker, like a branch that was hanging or a tree fell on him, but I feel like he would still be found in that instance. I don't know. He said it was a sound that did not belong in the woods. And for someone who had apparently been hunting with Tom his entire life, like, wouldn't you know what a tree branch or a tree falling would sound like? And even weirder, 10 days after Tom went missing, so on the 25th of November that year, a 60-year-old man went missing from his property about 40 miles south of Lily Pond. His name was Fred Fritz Drum, and he was reported missing at 6 a.m. that morning, though the last time he had been seen was about 20 hours before. His wife reported him missing, but that was another weird detail of the story. But again, I don't completely see how that's related to Tom. It's just another weird detail. I really cannot figure this one out because, like, at least normally by the end of reading these cases and summarizing them, I can at least say kind of what I think happened, but this one's completely going over my head. There are so many variables to anyone within or outside of the hunting party doing something to him and getting him out of there, and something happening to him when he is within earshot of other members of his party. It really leaves me stumped, I'm not gonna lie. This is probably one of the first cases where my mind can't come up with anything. But if you have any theories of what became of Tom Messik almost 10 years ago, in November, it'll be a decade since he went missing, and his family doesn't know what happened to him. There are no theories, at least ones that we know of. The FBI might have more information because why else would they be there if they didn't at least suspect something wrong? But if you have any theories, leave them down for me in the comments below. I would love to hear what you think and discuss it because, again, I am stumped. If you enjoyed this video and you enjoy my channel, please leave a like. It really helps this channel get out there, and our channel has been growing so much recently. I think today alone I've gotten like 4 or 5 subscribers, which was so nice to see, especially since I haven't been uploading. So it feels good to know like you guys aren't just abandoning me when I can't upload. If you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button and click that notification bell so you'll be notified anytime I upload. I'm still working on the cryptid drinking game for the 500 sub special, though hopefully if I win any baskets at the benefit, I will have liquor for the, cryptid iceberg drinking game, and will make it even more interesting. And finally, just because I am fortunate enough to have a platform like this, if you are in the position where you could donate, my Nana does have a GoFundMe open. Because of her cancer treatment, she is no longer able to work. She's just too sick and focused on recovering, thankfully. But this benefit and everything else we're doing is for her, so she is able to support herself while she is healing and fighting and hopefully winning this battle with cancer. So in the description down below, I will leave a link to her GoFundMe. Your good thoughts and or prayers or whatever you believe in, that is enough if you cannot contribute financially. So Sorry if that was kind of awkward. I feel really weird asking for stuff like that, but I have been lucky enough to be given a platform like this, even if it's not the biggest. So, I gotta ask. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I love you guys so much. Also, please leave down in the comments below what other kinds of videos you want to see. This is another Missing 411, of course, but if there's any other series you want me to talk about, or I'm trying to start planning for Spooktober. If there's anything for that you'd like to see, maybe I can plan a ghost hunting trip or something. Let me know down in the comments below. I appreciate you guys so much. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.